Hey guys, it's Kailyn. I'm a nutrition scientist and I'm back with another deep dive today. We are talking all about supplements, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's get into it. So what's the deal with supplements? If you're into holistic health, I can bet that your social media algorithm is flooded with advice from a wide array of influencers and gurus, both qualified and not so qualified. You may find yourself confused and unsure who to believe or stressed when you learn about yet another $899 health device that you suddenly learned your life is worse without having. I've been there. You may have a supplement graveyard, a cabinet filled with bottles of vitamins and minerals that you've tried over the years and just kind of stopped taking. So here's the deal. I used to be that person. I'd randomly order supplements from Amazon because I thought it seemed like what a healthy person does. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no sense of what I actually needed or didn't need. I knew that there were nutrients and vitamins, minerals, vitamin D, zinc, B12. I had heard these things were important, so I thought, I guess I'll just order some supplements because why not? It couldn't hurt, right? These things are natural after all, and this is what healthy people do, right? If that's you, no shame, I've been there. However, I've learned a lot over the years, and these days I wouldn't recommend this approach. These topics are highly nuanced and debated. Each person's needs are different. In this video, I am going to break down quite a bit for you. It's going to be very exciting, so let's hear it. What you're going to learn in this video is a brief history and exploration into our modern obsession with supplements. We're going to look at the pill for every ill mentality and how it can keep us stuck in disease. We're going to cover the truth behind the supplement industry and why I approach it with extreme caution. How to choose safe, high-quality supplements. The problem with nutrient isolation and how it causes imbalance in the body. What your doctor isn't telling you about your blood labs. Deficiency versus toxicity and why oversimplification isn't the answer. The beauty of nutrient synergy and the food matrix. The complexities of absorption and metabolism, cases in which supplementation may be warranted, and a root cause approach to supplements and my personal philosophy as a nutrition scientist. So before we go deeper, let's name the biggest issues I see time and again when it comes to supplements. The 5 major problems that we have. So first of all, we have the lack of regulation. Most supplements aren't actually tested before sale. We have adverse effects and toxicity risks. More of a good thing is not always better. We have nutrient imbalances, so one nutrient interacting with and depleting another. Contaminated or fake products, especially from online third-party sellers. And bioindividual reactions, so your genes and biology matter more than trends. So we're going to really explore and unpack each of these throughout this video so you can feel empowered to make informed decisions that actually support your health and not sabotage it. Let's continue. So first of all, a little bit about me. If you don't know, my name is Kailyn. I'm a nutrition scientist, holistic health educator, wife, and new mama. I love having a baby. It's the best thing ever. I'm passionate about helping women cut through the noise of the wellness movement and find real sustainable healing. I take a root cause, food first, historical approach to health, but also through a science-backed, evidence-based lens. I'm on a mission to simplify science and remind you that your body was beautifully designed to thrive. All right, let's jump into a brief history of supplements. So the first controlled clinical trial performed by a physician in the modern era is considered to be the famous scurvy trial performed in 1747 by James Lind. In this trial, Dr. Lind discovered the power of citrus fruit to cure scurvy, which we now know is a disease caused by the severe deficiency of vitamin C. So this kind of set the foundation for the discovery of the vitamins later on. Even though he didn't know the chemical structure, he knew that there was something in citrus fruit that was curing scurvy. So that was sort of the foundation of this whole process. In 1911, the research of a man named Casimir Funk earned him the title Father of Vitamin Therapy. He identified specific essential compounds in the diet, the lack of which caused deficiency diseases such as scurvy or rickets. He named these compounds using the term vitamine, later shortened to vitamin, dropping the E, in 1911, coming from the Latin words vita, meaning life, and amine, which is a nitrogen-containing substance that is necessary for life. However, the compound we recognize today as vitamin C would not be chemically isolated until 1928, less than 100 years ago. This finding marked the gold rush period in the field of vitamin research. This era of discovery of all the major vitamins spanned from the 19th century until the mid-20th century. So the 20s and the 40s were ripe with discovery, and it was sort of the golden age. And this research era was also linked with the study of diseases caused by vitamin deficiencies. There was a big emphasis on understanding and treating these deficiency disorders in this time period. During the 20th century, chemists learned how to isolate and synthesize these newly discovered vitamins. Because of this newfound knowledge of nutrient deficiency diseases, there was a shift away from primarily food-based approaches toward utilization of these isolated synthesized vitamins. This was especially true during the World Wars and Great Depression, when there were great concerns over malnourishment. In fact, the famous RDAs, or recommended dietary allowances, which are often used to inform nutrition recommendations, were first established in 1941 at the National Nutrition Conference on Defense. The goal of the RDAs was to make sure the U.S. population was fit for war and determine the minimum amount of nutrient intake necessary to avoid deficiency diseases during wartime. But these guidelines were not originally designed with optimal health and well-being in mind. Fortification and enrichment strategies began in full force, with iodine added to table salt in 1924, vitamin D was added to milk in 1933, and thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, and iron were added to flour in 1941. This marked a major shift in the food industry, and by the mid-20th century, all the major vitamins that we know today had been isolated and synthesized chemically, created in a laboratory setting. This isolation and synthesis of vitamins turned the tables and shifted the typical approach away from traditional food-based approaches to cure deficiency diseases. This was exciting. It was new, and it seemed like the perfect solution. Suddenly, we could alchemize these individual chemical nutrients, mixing them and administering them with a newfound sense of precision and control. We could even, for example, strip the nutrients right out of whole foods during processing and then add synthetic versions back in. The popular notion of a pill for every ill made this extremely appealing. No longer did people need to worry about the foods they were eating or excluding from their diets. Instead, they could just take a pill. And thus, the supplement industry was born. Now, while food fortification and enrichment programs have helped to reduce deficiency diseases, specifically in developing nations and in diets which consist mostly of ultra-processed foods, they are not the ideal solution. Unfortunately, while this reductionist logic, which pervades our conventional modern medical system, can be beneficial in some respects, it also comes at a cost, often unforeseen by those promoting it. While some supplements can be significantly helpful, there are many that can do more harm than good. In fact, if we're not careful, supplements can even drive the nutrient deficiencies we're working so hard to prevent. So you probably have taken supplements yourself at some point, or you may be taking them now. For many of us, we equate the supplements we take with being healthy. It seems natural, nutrients are good for us, so what could be the problem? We don't really see a downside or a danger. In fact, more is probably better, right? If we're not careful, the mentality of a pill for every ill can apply to supplements as it does to prescription medications for so many. But we need to zoom out for a second and consider the context of where we are. Think about all of human history before this point. Isolated supplements didn't exist. You know what did exist? Food. People have historically prized nutrient-dense foods like animal meat and organs, fish roe, grass-fed dairy, fresh fruit. Assuming conditions were good and food was available, they consumed balanced, nose-to-tail, whole food, omnivore diets to ensure proper nutrient intake. They prepared foods properly to ensure the ideal digestion and absorption, as well as reduction of toxins and anti-nutrients, such as sourdough fermentation. On the other hand, one could make the case that the world has never looked the way it does today, and in many ways this is true. The Industrial Revolution changed the world forever. Humans have never before had to navigate an environment so hostile to our biology and natural physiology. The modern lifestyle, sitting at a desk or in a car for most of the day, rarely seeing the sun, breathing in and applying on our bodies hundreds of endocrine-disrupting chemicals, eating rushed, ultra-processed meals, staring at screens, shining artificial light late into the night, is so foreign to the way our ancestors lived. Much of our soil is depleted in nutrients due to practices like monocropping and overfarming, which leads to foods which are lower in vitamins and minerals as well. That our minerals are being depleted from the stress which bombards us, and that we need all the help we can get. There are many essential nutrients, vitamins, and minerals that the body cannot function without. Deficiencies can cause debilitating effects: extreme fatigue, hormone imbalances, abnormal heart rhythms, reduced quality of sleep, muscle weakness, dry skin, hair loss, and even more significant issues like personality changes or infertility. But does the answer come in the form of a cherry-flavored gummy multivitamin? I'd argue that it's far more complex. So let's talk about the dark side of supplements. According to data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, or NHANES, during 2017 to 2020, just over 58% of adults reported using at least one dietary supplement in the past 30 days. The global market size of dietary supplements was estimated at over $177 billion in 2023. Use of supplements skyrocketed during and after the 2020 pandemic as people frantically tried to boost their immune systems. This is a huge industry, and where money flows, one can always be sure that corruption will follow. And the truth is that the supplement industry is highly unregulated. Prescription drugs and over-the-counter medications are approved by the FDA for safety and efficacy, while dietary supplements are not. Have you ever seen the label on a supplement bottle? These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. Interesting, right? Now, this is certainly not to say that the FDA is the end-all be-all of safety. The ideal is that this organization exists to protect consumers' health and ensure the quality of food and medications. However, corporations have absolutely found ways to skirt around regulations, and there have been many incidents of oversight and failures on the part of the FDA. If you want to learn more about this topic, you can read the book Bottle of Lies: The Inside Story of the Generic Drug Boom. All this to say, having some level of regulation and accountability is important in any industry, especially when regarding products to be consumed. In a nutshell, the way the supplements industry works now is that any individual or business can put a supplement on the market without notifying the FDA or needing approval for safety or efficacy. The companies themselves are responsible for ensuring their products are safe and that they are following legal procedures. The FDA will only regulate supplements after they are on the market via manufacturing facility inspections, label review, and response to adverse event reports. They can either work to bring a company into compliance with GMPs or good manufacturing practices, ask the company to voluntarily recall a product, or in extreme cases, directly remove a dangerous product from the market, although this happens very rarely. The problem here is that regulation happens after the fact, if at all. It's reactionary, not preemptive, and that means people are often harmed before anything is done about a dangerous product. People might take a supplement which actually does not contain the reported ingredients, or at least not in the concentrations on the label, and therefore is, in benign cases, merely a waste of money. Supplements may even contain added ingredients, medications, or toxic contaminants such as bacteria, fungi, heavy metals, etc. that are not obviously listed on the label. So how can you choose high-quality, safe supplements? This is a really important question. While there are certainly many reputable companies on the market who take the time and due diligence to ensure quality, safety, and efficacy of their products, the ultimate responsibility rests on the consumer to decide whether or not to consume a supplement. That means we cannot rely on companies or government agencies to safeguard our health. The responsibility for our education and well-being rests in our own hands. This is why I encourage a posture of healthy skepticism and caution when it comes to supplements, especially when they make claims that seem too good to be true. To be clear, this is the same view I have on prescription medications as well. When looking for a supplement for a specific purpose, there are certain clues and certifications that can lead you to reputable brands. 3 independent testing laboratories which are respected in the industry are NSF International, United States Pharmacopoeia, and ConsumerLabs.com. So for a brand to put one of these seals on their supplements, it means that the lab has done an initial analysis, as well as ongoing, recurring, and surprise product assessments, ensuring that there is no contamination and that the product contains the active ingredient in the proper amount. Now, various brands may also conduct their own independent testing analysis and post results on their website. This is great. However, it's important to note that these independent labs may lack oversight and may not perform proper procedures in every case. Inadequate testing methods or even fabricated test results are possibilities. When in doubt, it can be helpful to email a company and ask for more details on their testing processes, as well as proof of recent lab test results. If a company refuses to give out information on their products, it's an immediate red flag. A reputable brand should be completely transparent about their processing and manufacturing. So, where is best to purchase supplements from? These days, Amazon is quick and convenient, but recent concerns over supplement safety and quality when buying from Amazon sellers should promote caution. Amazon does not ensure proper storage, temperature, environment, or authenticity of products. Supplements can sit in a warehouse for great lengths of time and can be expired, adulterated, diluted, or otherwise contaminated and sold via any vendor on Amazon. The FDA has even found many supplements sold on Amazon, even ones labeled Amazon's Choice or #1 bestseller, to be tainted with drugs. If you are looking to purchase supplements via Amazon, the best method is to do so via the brand's official storefront to ensure the seller is the brand itself, not a third party, and to confirm that the shipper is either the seller or Amazon itself. However, even then, some have raised concerns that supply may not be carefully regulated in Amazon warehouses and that products may be mixed together with those from other suppliers. Check the reviews for any reports of low quality. And finally, check the label. Supplement labels should show the manufacturer's name and location, a supplement facts panel, list of inactive ingredients, and any third-party certification seal. Ideally, ordering directly from the brand itself is the safest bet. Or you can order from a dispensary like Fullscript, which vets the supplement brands it carries and ensures proper temperature-controlled storage environments. If you want to check that out, you can access my personal Fullscript dispensary at the link in the description, and you can get a 10% discount on high-quality supplements, and as well as my own curated product recommendations and free shipping over $50. So that's a great option as well. So before we go any further, let's make one thing clear. More isn't always better when it comes to supplements. Just because something is natural doesn't mean it's inherently safe, and because a nutrient is essential doesn't mean more of it is beneficial. In fact, high doses of isolated nutrients can throw the body out of balance, trigger toxicity, or even cause serious side effects. Throughout this post, I've cautioned against blind supplementation. Now let's explore exactly what that is. Here's one of the most important things to be aware of in this conversation. Nutrients have relationships to each other. They like to be in a sort of Goldilocks state where there's neither too little or too much, but there's just the right amount, in balance. Nutrients directly affect and are connected to each other. Minerals can have an antagonistic relationship, so an increase of one blocks the function or absorption of the other, or a synergistic relationship. In this case, an increase of one enhances the absorption or effectiveness of the other. So in many cases, high doses of synthetic supplements can actually lead to the depletion of other nutrients, causing the body to become imbalanced over time. Supplements can even interact with medications, reducing or increasing their effects in unwanted ways. It's also much easier to overdose on supplements than food, especially when taking multiple supplements at a time. This can cause nutrient toxicity, which leads to a host of negative effects in the body. Just Google supplement toxicity and you'll find a host of stories. A man's liver was irreparably injured from green tea supplements. A woman's peripheral neuropathy and loss of the ability to use her muscles normally from an excessive vitamin B6 intake. Another man's hospitalization, hypercalcemia, and severe illness in relation to megadosing vitamin D. So this is really important. And it's also important to note that there are different types of vitamins. So there's water-soluble vitamins and there's fat-soluble vitamins. Water-soluble vitamins are soluble in water, they can dissolve, and excess levels are excreted often in the urine, for example. Fat-soluble vitamins are not soluble in water, so they often tend to build up in the body more so and can cause more problems with toxicity. So the fat-soluble vitamins are vitamins A, D, E, and K. Now, what about when you go to your doctor's office? They draw blood labs and tell you that you're deficient in vitamin D or XYZ other nutrient. So they recommend a supplement. But while this process feels familiar, symptom analysis, diagnosis, and treatment prescription, remember, supplements are not regulated nearly as carefully as medications are. So now your doctor recommends a generic vitamin D supplement, but may not realize the extreme variation in quality on the market. He or she may not even know that magnesium is essential for the absorption and utilization of vitamin D. And if you're low in magnesium, your levels won't improve. Plus, excess vitamin D actually depletes magnesium and can cause increases in phosphate and calcium, leading to tissue calcification. Think painful swollen joints, reduced organ function, and artery blockage. Additionally, there are different forms of nutrients. So it may seem like a magnesium supplement is simply magnesium, but actually this mineral comes in many forms, such as magnesium glycinate, citrate, malate, etc. This simply refers to the chemical compound that is bound with magnesium, which affects its bioavailability in the body, absorption, and various effects. One form of a vitamin or mineral may not be as ideal for you and your unique body as another. Also, some forms are generally cheaper to produce and lower quality, and they won't give you as much of a beneficial effect in the first place. So we're prone to oversimplification in our culture. We think, oh, my blood levels of this nutrient are low, so that means I just need a supplement. But there's so much more to the conversation. It's incredibly nuanced and requires looking at the whole picture. Is the nutrient in question actually circulating in the blood, or is it stored in the cells? If it's stored in the cells, as many vitamins and minerals are, the serum levels won't reflect the whole picture of how much is actually in the body. Plus, if levels of something appear low, the next question should not necessarily be, how can I raise this number by taking an isolated synthetic supplement? But rather, what is going on in my body to push this out of balance, and how can I restore it? So the incredible thing about nature is that food contains nutrients in balance with each other. Here's a cool example. Copper and zinc are antagonists to each other because excess levels of one deplete the other in the body. You may have heard that oysters are a great source of zinc, and you're right, but did you know that they're also rich in copper? Perfectly balanced. Or take nuts, for example. They are typically high in polyunsaturated fatty acids, or PUFAs, which tend to be unstable and prone to oxidation or breaking down. But nuts are also high in natural vitamin E, which is an antioxidant that helps to protect the fat in the nut from going rancid. God's design is beautiful. The concept that biological molecules within food work together in a balanced way is known as food synergy. According to an article in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, the concept of food synergy is based on the proposition that the interrelations between constituents in foods are significant. This significance is dependent on the balance between constituents within the food, how well the constituents survive digestion, and the extent to which they appear biologically active at the cellular level. End quote. In simpler terms, food contains many pieces: protein, fiber, phytonutrients, which work together in what's known as the food matrix. Just as the body is more than the sum of its parts, so is food. Each component plays an essential role such that it creates a much different effect when one removes a single piece of the puzzle and isolates it. When we eat, we don't just consume individual isolated nutrients, we eat whole foods, which contain a complex web of components like enzymes, cofactors, minerals, vitamins. When it comes to synthetic compounds, they often react differently within the body versus their natural food-bound counterpart. Take folate, for example. You may have also heard it referred to as folic acid. Although these terms are often mistakenly used interchangeably, they are not the same thing. Folate is the naturally occurring B9 vitamin found in foods like green vegetables, liver, and legumes. Folic acid is the synthetic compound often found in generic supplements, including prenatals, and added to enriched grain products such as white flour and breakfast cereal. Is natural always better when it comes to supplements? Not necessarily. It depends on the nutrient, food, concentration, stability, contamination concerns, and ultimate goal of the supplement. Natural folate is delicate and easily degrades when exposed to light and heat, for example. So in this way, synthetic folic acid being more stable is an ideal candidate for supplements. However, it is estimated that around 40% of people have a mutation in the MTHFR gene. In simple terms, people with this genetic mutation have a harder time processing folic acid, as it needs to be metabolized in the body to be converted to the active form of folate. In these individuals, unused folic acid may build up in the body and cause unwanted side effects. In recent years, more attention has been given to this issue, and supplements utilizing the active form of folate, 5-methyltetrahydrofolate, or 5-MTHF, have increased in popularity. And for many, this can be a helpful way to increase folate intake in a more usable form. But in every case, bioindividuality plays a critical role in how we process nutrients, especially supplements. As an example of bioindividuality, I'll share a personal story. In my preconception stage, a few months before my husband and I conceived our baby, I started taking a methylfolate supplement. I knew of the issues and controversy surrounding folic acid and of how important folate is in the development of an embryo, so I wanted to make sure my intake was consistent and adequate. However, I could not have expected how this would affect me. I have experienced lifelong struggles with anxiety and OCD, which I've been able to manage through prayer, retraining my thought patterns, healthy diet, and lifestyle exercises. But during the next few months, as I took this supplement, my mental health worsened. My mind felt like it was attacking me. There was a steady drip of intrusive racing thoughts that I was constantly battling. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me and why I was suddenly overwhelmed by this issue. It got quite serious, and the logical side of myself was so confused. I wondered where these thoughts were coming from. I loved my life. I was happy. Things were good. So why were these dark thoughts continually swirling? Until finally, one morning, I woke up early. My heart and mind were racing. I couldn't go back to sleep. I knew that something was not right in my body. An idea sparked in my brain. I grabbed my phone and I started researching. And suddenly I stumbled upon stories of others who had experienced this exact same symptom while taking methylfolate. Anxiety, OCD, intrusive thoughts. I realized that it was the supplement, and I immediately stopped taking it. The next morning, I was shocked. My mind felt noticeably quieter. It was like taking a deep breath again. In that moment, I learned the lesson of bioindividuality in a very real way. It's essential to realize that there is no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to supplements. Our individual unique makeup means that a certain supplement may be detrimental or downright dangerous. On the other hand, it may be life-changing and make all the difference for someone's health. This is why I approach both supplements and medications with great respect and caution. They are powerful and they can both harm and help. In the conversation about nutrients, you are what you eat can be better and more accurately stated as you are what you absorb. It's not just about what goes into your mouth, it's also about how much you chew your food and mechanically break it down. The ability of the parietal cells of your stomach to secrete adequate hydrochloric acid or stomach acid to break down proteins and activate pepsin, which is a protein digesting enzyme. It's about the capacity of your pancreas to secrete more enzymes into the intestine to break down fat, protein, and carbs. The function of your liver and gallbladder to secrete bile, which is essential in fat breakdown and digestion. The structural integrity of the villi or the tiny folds in your small intestine through which your body absorbs broken down nutrients, and the activity of your large intestine to reabsorb minerals, vitamins, and water. So, all this to say, digestion is a long and complex process that relies on everything working together properly. If a piece of the puzzle is out of balance, it will affect your capacity to absorb nutrients from your food. This includes states of disease, such as inflammation related to issues like IBD or leaky gut, post-surgery, gallbladder removal or ostomy bag, or even simply excessive stress, reducing your body's ability to enter the parasympathetic rest and digest state and fully process your food. This is why it's important to do everything we can to support digestion and metabolism. They're foundational to our ability to process and absorb nutrients and ultimately to have a thriving body. So ultimately, where does this long and complicated conversation lead us? Should you be taking supplements or not? My answer is maybe. There is no one-size-fits-all solution, as this will look different for everyone, and it all depends on your unique body and situation. So sometimes yes, but context matters. Supplements are a relatively new phenomenon. There's a huge market for them, and many of them are unreliable or downright scammy. On the contrary, many are also high quality and beneficial. Different supplements will affect people in different ways due to their unique genetic makeup. Life stage and health history are important factors in this conversation. I would never recommend taking random supplements just because an influencer or health guru on the internet said you should. Marketing and testimonials are emotionally alluring, but may not reflect expertise, and they certainly don't know you or your unique needs. Be skeptical, ask questions, and demand proof of quality and safety before you put anything into your body. Here are some examples of things to consider. Are you in a time of increased nutrient needs, such as pregnancy or breastfeeding? Are you experiencing acute or chronic illness? Do you have a GI disorder, or have you had a surgery affecting your GI tract? Do you currently or have you ever followed a vegan or vegetarian diet? Are you currently on any medications which could deplete or interact with certain nutrients? Do you have a diagnosed nutrient deficiency discovered through lab testing? Are you working with a practitioner who is informed and experienced in supplement use? Is this supplement from a trusted, tested source? Do you have a clear plan or strategy for your supplementation? Do you know what it's doing, why you're taking it, and for how long? Do you understand the best form of the supplement for your body? Are you supporting the foundations of your health, like digestion and whole food intake first? And are you addressing the root cause of any health issues, not just symptoms? If you do decide to take a supplement, I would encourage you to understand why you're taking it, for what, and for how long. Ideally, I would recommend working with a nutritionist or functional medicine practitioner who can help you customize a plan and strategy based on a variety of lab results. Ultimately, the goal is to get to the root cause of your health issue, not throw 20 supplements at it and hope things get better in a few years. When our bodies are in balance, we should be able to thrive while eating real whole foods, which give us the nutrients we need. So this quote from an article in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition says it perfectly. Quote, "Should we recommend a daily multivitamin delivering low doses of a variety of compounds for the general population as insurance against nutrient deficiency? This is the strategy followed in the United States, but in our opinion, this is risky given the lack of evidence of benefit, the occasional evidence of harm, and the relative lack of solid health research on supplements. This does not deny some indications of benefit, especially in nutrient deficiency. In our view, the better insurance would be to eat food with a broad coverage of nutrients and take no supplements at all, unless they are deemed necessary to fix a specific medical problem." So, final thoughts and resources. As you may have noticed, I'm very choosy with the supplements I take, and I do a lot of research before I personally consume or recommend something. I try to eat a balanced, varied diet and work to get my essential nutrients from the food I eat. But sometimes it can be tricky, which is why it can be helpful to have tools on hand to fill in the gaps. I find that keeping a small number of high-quality supplements in my arsenal, like cod liver oil, beef organs, magnesium, helps me to achieve my health goals when I need them. If you want to browse through some of the supplements I either have used or would use, you can do so on my website, where I have discount codes as well, or my full script page where you can get, again, a discount. And definitely do some research and chat with your healthcare practitioner about what's best for you. I hope this deep dive has been beneficial to you in your health journey. If it has, please leave a comment sharing your experience and perspective. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Feel free to ask questions. I may answer them in future content. I invite you to go read the full blog post for all the details and sources, all that good stuff. I'm also super excited to have a growing community on Patreon. If you want to be a part of that, you can check it out with the link in the description. You can get special perks like early access to videos, free recipes and grocery list guides, special extra bonus content, good stuff like that. So definitely go check out the Patreon. And if you are thinking about this and you're like, you know what, I really do want to get more of my nutrition through my diet, but I feel like I don't know how, or I'm so busy, I created a free guide just for you, Simple Nourishment, a meal prep system for busy women. Now, it's for anyone, but I find that often the women I talk to are really struggling with making time to properly meal prep so they can feel like they're eating healthy meals throughout the week. So I created a resource all about that just for you. Definitely click the link in my description, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts, and I will be back soon for another video. Thanks guys, and be well.